Okay, now we're recording. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's session. So lovely to have you all with us today. I have with me Rachel Graham, which I am so excited to introduce to you guys. Gonna give like a few minutes for everyone to come in and we will get started. And we will have a Q&A session towards the end. So until then, and during Rachel's presentation, please do make sure that you stay muted. We will have a full QA session and you can ask your questions towards the end. So don't worry at all. But I guess we can get started. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome. So lovely to have you all with us here today. This call is part of the Art and Design Hub of artterra, where we bring artists and interior designers together to bridge the gap between art and interior design. And into this two-part SEO workshops, which I'm so excited about, we will be showing you guys how you can bring more of your buyers to your website. So a lot of you guys know me here. I'm Parisa Golchupian, the founder of artterra, and I'm also a web designer, and I help artists with their e-commerce website. Now, through a web design community, I have come to meet Rachel, and she specializes in helping interior designers and service businesses. And yeah, I've really enjoyed getting to know her and working with her. And so I'm so excited to have her in our community today so that she can talk to you on the SEO side for interior design websites and service-based businesses too. So if you're an artist that does commission, if you offer any sort of creative service, this workshop is going to be very helpful for you. And yeah, and stay tuned until the end. We will talk about the next session coming up. But I'm going to hand over to you, Rachel, so you can introduce yourself and get started. Welcome.
Thank you, Parisa. It's such a pleasure to be here with you all today. And a lot of what we're going to talk about, like Parisa said, is very focused on service-based businesses. And I use a lot of examples from the interior design world, but the core principles are really the same for any website. So if you have a website and you're here because you want to get the right kind of traffic to it, then hopefully you're going to find something you can take away and use. Before we just dive into all of this content, and there's a lot of it, I would love for those of you who are here live, if you would just kind of like let me know in the chat where you are in terms of your knowledge of SEO. Are you brand new to this? Have you tried some SEO tips to optimize your website? Is it a completely foreign concept, or do you have some familiarity? I'd love to know kind of what your level of comfort is before we dive in. So Olga says she's brand new. Well, that's great because we're going to break this down from the very, very beginning. And I really would love to just kind of start out with talking about why we care about this in the first place. And it's because SEO gives us an opportunity to capture the attention of the clients who are out there already actively searching for what you do. And this applies to our artists and designers alike. So we've got an opportunity to bring them directly to you just by understanding what they're looking for and answering their questions. So it's a really interesting way to approach all of your marketing because we're starting with the customer first. And I think that's always a more effective way to go. We're not marketing for fun, right? We actually want to drive sales. And so I'm sure you already have a full-time job doing exactly what you do for your clients and in creating your art. So when you consider that most businesses spend 5 figures on creating their websites, we want to make sure that we're bringing the right people to them. So let me just give you a brief overview of what we're going to talk about today, and I'll introduce myself and we'll be off to the races. So we're going to start with just breaking down a good definition of what search engine optimization is. I think there are a a lot of people who hear that word and feel like it's too complicated or technical, and it can be a little bit overwhelming. We're not going to be intimidated by some technical terms today. You absolutely can understand this. We're going to break it down so you understand what we're talking about. And then we'll talk about the strategies that are actually going to attract those clients that are looking to purchase from you or to work with you, and a couple of tools that you can use if you want to try to apply some of these concepts for your website or in your business. But before we do all that, just a quick introduction of myself. Priest already mentioned, I'm Rachel Graham. I run a little boutique marketing agency called Greenhouse Creative. We specialize in just trying to use really smart systems and hardworking websites to help our clients grow. So we primarily work with service-based businesses. We've done a little bit of e-commerce, but our bread and butter are interior designers. And so a lot of what I'll talk about today uses that industry for examples. So let's start with, what is SEO? So if you don't already know the acronym, it just stands for search engine optimization. And it is the process of just making sure that your website is optimized to increase both the quantity and the quality of traffic that you're getting through organic search engine results. So I'm sure everybody immediately thinks of Google when we talk about search engines, but these others on the screen are search engines as well. And oftentimes we don't think about Pinterest or YouTube as search engines, but really any place where we are going to type a search query into a search bar and get a list of results, we are talking about search engines. Obviously, Google is the one at the forefront of everyone's mind. It's by far the most popular. It has the market share. And so when we talk about SEO tactics, we're typically talking about Google optimization tactics. Everybody else tends to follow suit. So let's talk a little bit about how these work. This is really what's happening. And I think that having this basic understanding really help you understand why we do what we do to optimize your site. So everything starts by actually crawling the internet. There are these little bots, think about them as, they're almost like little spiders, teeny tiny pieces of software that hop from link to link to link to link to crawl the web. And so if you think about this little green page here in the center as your home page, and you've got a menu that links to your about page and your services page and your products page and your contact page and so on, this little piece of code is just following links throughout the internet. And so sometimes you may be linking to a site that is not your own. It's not just another page on your site, but goes somewhere else. This is how Google discovers everything that exists out on the internet. The next step in the process is the indexing. So it's going to say, okay, these pages are similar and talking about the same types of topics. These pages are similar, these pages are similar. So it begins to categorize the content that it finds through the crawling process. Next, we go into ranking. So this is the algorithm that you hear about all the time. And it's really just one step in the process. We have to have these pieces in place first before it can then say, okay, based on this search text, so the words that someone would type into Google search bar, we can sort of figure out what is the meaning of the search, what is the user actually looking for. And then through this index of pages that Google has, it's going to figure out, okay, what pages are actually relevant to what that person's looking for. And then, this is all proprietary. They're not going to show us the inside of how each of these items really stacks up in terms of who is going to rank first, but we know these are all factors. So what's the meaning of the search? What is the relevance of the page? We're looking at content quality. So a well-organized, structured page that's easy to read, that is got kind of a readability level that most people can understand, is going to rank higher. Things that are well organized, we want to be going more in depth into topics. That helps a lot as well. So obviously a 300 word count page is going to rank in a different way than a 2000 word count page. And then usability has become more and more and more important as technology is advanced. So here we're talking about things like, is the page mobile optimized. So meaning it's easy to use from your phone or from a tablet device. Does it load quickly? So Google wouldn't have very good user numbers if it was always sending its users to really slow loading websites where you had to wait 30 seconds before it got the results. Somebody is going to hop right back over to the search results if that's the experience that you're offering on your website. So usability matters a lot in these rankings. And then the context and settings is more about the user itself. So where are they searching from? What is their search history like? So all of these factors come into play when Google decides what to show on top, what to bump down the list. And as it ranks the pages for whatever search you typed in the box, it's going to create a list, and those are our search results. So that's what you're used to seeing on that page after you submit your search. So there's 3 ways that you can get found on Google. And what we're talking about today is organic SEO, but it's important to understand that there's a difference between these 3 things. So local SEO is going to be mostly driven on your Google business profile. This has to do with the location of your business, the location that you're talking about on your web pages, the location of the user, the person searching. So this is all Google Maps functionality. Your reviews can be really important in this category as well. Pay-per-click is Google's version of advertising. So it's a lot of the same process, but there's a dollar number attached to every click that comes from search results to your website. So that is that's going to be different, and it's always listed first. So Google's worrying about making the money. You'll notice that these always have some type of indicator that it's an ad. So it'll say sponsored or ad next to those results. And then down here below all of that is organic search. You may have some cost associated with the time and services and creating the content and doing the optimization, but you don't need to pay Google for these results. This is all about it just trying to serve its users with quality content that's going to answer their questions. So let's talk a little bit about what goes into the optimization itself, and we can really break this down into 4 kind of main categories. We already talked about local search. This is all optimization for Google Maps. These other 2 things are a little bit unrelated to the content that you're creating and the marketing itself. Most of what we're talking about today falls into this content piece. But when it comes to what we have the ability to influence, what we can control on our websites, these are the things that we're talking about. So local search content is an opportunity to demonstrate your knowledge and expertise. This is where you're really looking at those questions that people are asking and answering them. Backlinks are like little votes of confidence. So this is when another website links to yours. It could be where you've been featured in the press. It could be your directory listings on sites like Yelp or Houzz. All of those can help with backlinks as well. If you've done any sort of guest blog posting or you've done any sort of collaboration where another website is linking to yours, that's what falls into this category. And those are just ways to sort of gain credibility in Google's eyes. And then finally is the technical piece. This is where choosing a reputable website platform and even potentially working with a professional to make sure that your site is really technically healthy and able to be indexed by Google. That's that piece there. Also has to do with having a good user experience. So that's where your mobile optimizations and making sure your site is easy to use on a phone, also your page speed, that kind of stuff falls into this category as well. So that's all the nuts and bolts of exactly what we're doing. Let's talk a little bit more about how to do it. And I think that when it comes to this work, it's really easy to get into a place where we're just creating busy work for ourselves. We think we're supposed to be marketing. We know we have to create content. And so we're just sort of like throwing spaghetti at the wall and pulling levers and writing words, but there's not a lot of purpose and strategy in it. And I want to change all that for you today. So this is the reason that I like SEO as a sort of a first attempt at marketing so much for a business, because we really can get focused on the client or the customer and build all of this around strategically guiding them to a purchase or to, booking a consultation call with us, whatever your business model looks like, in a different way than we can with a lot of other forms of marketing. So this is a really just helpful framework to think about these things. And I'm sure this is not new to you. There's a lot of different ways that you can use marketing speak to talk about this concept, but you'll hear it talked about as a sales funnel or a marketing funnel, the customer journey. This is really just about the process of moving a potential customer from the point that they are a complete and total stranger, have never heard about you at all, to the place where they're becoming a client or becoming a customer, they're purchasing, and then hopefully we can turn them into an evangelist for you. They can become your advocate. They're repeat customers that come back and buy from you again. They're telling their friends. So just to quickly go through this, it's helpful to think about creating content from these places. And way up here at the top, we have awareness. So in this phase, we may not even be aware of the fact that we have a problem to be solved or that a solution exists. And so there's a lot of educational content that can happen up here. And things that can just grab attention. So SEO can play a part there. Next, we have sort of the consideration phase. So this is where I'm bridging the gap between, okay, now I've realized that I do need some help with this thing. So if we're talking about something as simple as like a remodel of the kitchen, right? I might start with, okay, I've considered doing it. Now I'm moving into how am I actually going to achieve that new kitchen and what does that look like for me? Maybe I'm considering hiring a professional. Maybe I'm starting with a contractor. There's a lot of that work that happens here. And so again, we can be nurturing those potential clients and giving them confidence in the decision making, educating them on the process. There's a lot that can happen here. And I really like to use email marketing in this space as well. Oh, I clicked too soon. And then we move into an intent phase. So now I know I'm going to go hire someone. Who am I going to hire? And that's where we begin to talk even more about specifically how you can help. And then we move into the decision-making phase. So this is where your conversion optimized website, where you actually have a website that's guiding them to the purchase, matters most, but SEO can do a lot of this work in getting the right traffic there. So I find that it's really helpful to think about these categories when we start thinking about what are we going to write about? What are we going to actually put on the page? And then this is sort of the conversion framework. And we need all of these pieces for this work to pay off. We start with that content that is going to answer the questions of our potential clients, going to guide them through that customer journey we just looked at. And then we have to have a call to action. We have to tell them to do something. We don't just want to talk about the newest trends. We want to tell them to take the next step. So that depends on their level of awareness. So up here at the awareness stage, what we may be pushing them towards is some sort of resource that they can download from your website in exchange for their email address. We get them on the list and now we're showing up in their inbox every month or something along those lines. Here, we may be talking about something closer to the sale, like your services guide, or we may be calling them to actually book a free consultation. So we need to be guiding them to take some kind of action, and that leads into some type of offer that you have. Your offer may be something that's free and it's just, get on my list and we're going to continue to nurture you from there. It might be your discovery call. There are a lot of ways that you can do this, but I don't need you to create content just for the sake of creating content. I want you to be creating content that leads into some kind of sale. And then after they take the action, and this offer is going to be probably on a landing page, it could be a scheduler where they can book a call with you. It could be a checkout page where they can purchase the product. There's a lot of ways that this can happen on your website. But then what I love to see is for you to redirect that client or customer to a thank you page. This is where, we've confirmed your purchase, we've confirmed your booking. And there's an opportunity here to now begin to capture the metrics that are going to help us make better decisions around the content that we're creating. So what we can do here is in our analytics tools, and I use Google Analytics for this, we can say when someone's landed on this thank you page, I know they just booked a call. And so now we can start to track of the 100 visitors that landed on my homepage. 2 of them are going to book a call with me, and I can track that based on this page. That means now I've got some idea of what content is actually leading to the sale. So it's in that review process that we start to really refine this. So I hope that makes sense. This is how I like to think about approaching and planning SEO. I want you to start with, what are we trying to sell? So we're not going to start up here with what do we want to write about? We're going to start down here with what is it that we want? What do we want the action to be? And what do we want to sell to the client? Now, this could be something for free. That's a good option too. But let's just say we want them to book your discovery call. So you think about, what do we want to promote first? Maybe it's your custom services. Maybe it's maybe it's an e-service, maybe you've got an e-design package, maybe it's buy a product. We need to know where we're trying to get to, what's the end goal before we go back up here and do all of this work. So sometimes you can think about this in terms of, what's the easiest thing to start with? What do I have the most information about? Maybe it's, what's the biggest return in terms of revenue? Like, what's going to move me towards my revenue goal first? But choose something so that you can stay really focused on that one offer. And then as you begin to refine this process, start to see results, then you can start to do the same process for the next thing in your suite. So once we know what we are going to sell, now we can come back up here and start asking, okay, what do people need to know around this topic? We're going to look at some specific categories where we can do this keyword research. But from there, then we're going to create the content that answers these questions. And we're going to naturally guide the people reading that content into the call to action. So do we want them to book the call? Do we want them to get on the email list? Do we want them to buy a service, a product, whatever? And then again, redirecting them to that specific thank you page so that we can track our results and improve this over time. This is totally a bonus, but it's my favorite thing to do on a thank you page. I love to just have a 1 or 2 question form on this page that just says, hey, wait, while you're here, would you please answer this one question? And these are golden opportunities to kind of get more of the words of your customer, find out what they're struggling with, find out what they need help with, what questions do they have. And you'd be surprised at how many people will fill out an anonymous 1-question survey and send you just absolute marketing gold in terms of what you should create next. So I love to have this going just all the time, and these little emails pop up, and there'll be a little 3-sentence paragraph from the most recent person who joined my list telling me what it is they really need to understand. And then that can really help to keep this engine going. So that's just a little bonus tip, but it helps to not have to always start from a blank page. So keyword research is where a lot of this work starts once you know what it is that we're trying to achieve with the content itself. So I'm just going to read this definition because I think a lot of people hear the term keywords and maybe don't quite understand what we're talking about. So keywords are just the words or phrases that the user is typing into Google to find the information on a given topic. So if you start to type, you're going to see a long list of things that people have already been searching for. It's going to give you these suggestions. This is an excellent place to begin your keyword research. These are all keywords. So sometimes it's 1 word, sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 8. But those long phrases will often refer to as long tail keywords, and they can be some of the easier keywords to rank for because they're less competitive. And we're going to talk about that piece in just a minute. So the other piece that is important to understand when we're looking for keywords is search intent. So this is part of that algorithm we talked about before, right? There's the context for the user itself. Where are they searching from? What are they actually looking for? Like Google does a piece of this is Google tries to interpret what they're really looking for, even if they don't put the terms into the search bar exactly right. right? It's kind of like a give them what they need instead of what they ask for type of thing. And so these, I didn't make this up. This is standard SEO industry knowledge, but keywords typically will fall into one of four categories in terms of what is the user actually looking for. So we have navigational keywords that I don't remember the web address and I need to find this brand. So something like color palette generator might be the person is looking for a specific tool, or they're looking for a little calculator, a web application where they can go in and fill out a form and get a color palette. You're likely not going to rank for that in a blog post or on your website homepage because they're actually looking for the tool and we would be delivering them something different. So that's navigational. The same thing applies when they type in your business name. They're trying to find your homepage. So navigational keywords, it's important to be able to rank for your business name, but anything else that our keyword research tools tells us is a navigational term, no point in even creating content with those keywords. Informational are, I'm trying to learn something. So how to pick a color palette for your home is an excellent example. And that would be a long tail keyword. It's really specific. It solves a very specific problem, but that's an excellent opportunity to create a blog post or even a video about how you would do that. And so those tend to be much more educational. Then we have transactional keywords. These are people who are looking for a service or a product. And so those could lead to a services page, a booking page. There's an opportunity to use those for blog posts and things as well, but they tend to work best for your services and product pages. And then commercial keywords are kind of in that decision-making process. So here, this one says, what's the best wall color for a living room? So we know we're already in that buying journey, but we may not be ready to buy just yet. There's another place where a really well laid out blog post that's really informative, that has that call to action to actually get on a call with you, whatever the case might be for you, can be really helpful. So we try to stay in this realm when we are working on SEO content for our clients. And we're really intentional about which keywords we're choosing depending on what the goals are. So this can be really helpful to understand. If you're not sure or you don't have the tools that will present this information to you, then a really easy way to figure this out is just put the search in Google and take a look at the first 5 results. And I think you'll have a feel for what Google believes the intent of that search is. So if you're reading blog posts and they're informational, you can assume it's informational. If it leads you to a product page or a sales page or something along those lines, you can figure out that this person is ready to buy this thing that they're searching for. And then commercial is kind of somewhere in between. So you can get a pretty good feel on your own just by using common sense if you just look at the results that Google is serving up. So get a screenshot of this, this slide if you want to, and you're looking at creating some content. You really kind of have to start with brainstorming. And I like to think about what keywords might we be able to research and create content around in these 6 categories. So we've already talked about questions. That's a pretty easy one. What are the frequently asked questions that you're getting? And a good place to go for these are your intake forms, or look at recordings of past discovery calls. Even some things like Amazon reviews and some of the questions that you see in forums can be really helpful here. So what is somebody asking about whatever it is that you offer? Another great category, and this one can be even a little more sales focused, is the misconceptions. What are the myths that are out there in the industry? What are the things that people might assume that could be incorrect about the process of working with you or about your products? So that's another great place where you can start to lead the customer down that journey with your content. Struggles or pain points are another great place. So Where are they really having a hard time with whatever they're trying to achieve on their own? So when we're talking about products, this might be the specific problem that it solves. When we're talking about services, this might be the pain points of trying to do it on your own without professional help. So that's another great topic category for us. Aspirations are really about the end goal. What are we trying to achieve? Who are we trying to be like? What's the outcome that we're after? And this is another great place where we can paint a picture of what it's like to buy from you, to work with you. Solutions are going to be the specific things that actually solve the problem. So this might be like a great example here is strategies for maximizing natural light. If I'm in the middle of a kitchen renovation and I'm trying to plan it on my own, but I haven't thought about natural light, and I come across content that's going to make me think about that piece of the project in a different way, that's kind of a solution that you're offering in advance, right? So these are some of the considerations or the things that you can offer as part of your services that are going to solve specific problems along the way. So another great place that you can find topics and keywords. Objections can also be very helpful for moving people from that decision-making process to choosing you. So thinking about some of the reasons that someone might have hesitation about purchasing from you or working with you, or someone who does what you do in general. So some ideas here that I think kind of paint the picture better than just me describing it. Dealing with renovations, common concerns about hiring a designer. It's too expensive. Cost can always fall into this category. So just different things that could help reframe the thinking around what it is that you offer. So I do have a free resource that can help you with some of this that you can go grab from my website. So this is just a Google Doc, but it is just a kit of AI prompts that I use a lot of times with my clients or even creating content for my own business, where I can just start to get a list of good topics. Sometimes the well just runs dry when it comes to thinking of new things to create content around. So this guides you through some specific prompts that you can use in those categories. I will tell you, and this is all in the kit as well, but if you're going to use AI to help you with this, it's really helpful to give it a lot of context first. So take the extra 15 minutes before you start to work through the prompts to describe your business, describe your ideal client, give a few specifics about your products or your services, and I tend to use ChatGPT. There's a lot of other options out there, but if you don't already have a favorite tool, just go there. You can create a free account. Once it has that context and understanding of your business, then it's going to give you back a lot more valuable information that you can actually use. So that one little piece of the puzzle can make a big difference in the types of results you get in working with AI. But it's an excellent brainstorming activity, and it can really help with identifying keywords that you might then go take a look at the data. Okay, so once we have a list of topics that we think are aligned with our services and that we might want to rank for, we need some help figuring out what keywords do I actually choose. And so you're going to go to some keyword tools. I'm going to talk a little bit about some specific recommendations at the end, but this is how I want you to think about choosing the right keywords for you. You may have a big, long list. You may have very few to choose from. And so this is what we're looking for. We want to find the sweet spot. That's this little green triangular shape here between the topics that you want to be found for. So these are the things that are actually relevant to what you do. The topics that people are actually searching for. So there's actually some search volume for those topics. And we don't want them to be too competitive. So not everyone has already written about it. So the things that fall in here are going to be the lower volume, or they're not relevant, or the competition, or they're too competitive. Actually, I think this guy belongs over here and low volume belongs over here, but that's okay. So what we want to do is find the low competition, highest volume possible, actually relevant to your services or products. And let's just talk a little bit about volume, because I think sometimes we think that means we need thousands of searches every month, and that's not true. So this is a good way to just have kind of a target range in mind. And we're going to do some quick math here. Bear with me. So let's say that we're using big round numbers that make it easy. You have a revenue goal every month of making $10,000 per month in revenue, and your average project is $5,000. You need to sell 2 projects per month to meet your goal. Pretty simple. So now we go back to that thank you page measurement that we've been doing. We've been tracking your thank you pages. We know that to get 2 sales, we are going to convert about whatever your percentage is. If you don't have the tracking in place right now, then you can kind of look at some industry averages. A good conversion rate is generally 1 to 3% of your website visitors. So if we're going to use 3% to just keep it simple. If I need 3% of those people to book 2 or to have 2 sales, then I need 67 people. Okay. If I need 67 people to land on my site, I know of 67, 2 are going to make sales. Then I need to take a look at how many impressions, how many times do I need to show up in Google's results? Okay. So 67 is 3%. That's your click-through rate of the 2,200 impressions that you would need on Google. Now, I don't want you to be scared by that number. This is just to create a target. You don't actually have to get to 2,200 impressions on Google because you probably have sales coming in through other avenues, right? You've got your other marketing efforts. You've got your referrals. You are milking your networking relationships. So you're creating opportunities in other spaces. But if you were going to make your goal from search engine optimization alone, then you would need, across all of the keywords that you rank for, to show up in Google search results 2,200 times in a month. So this gives us an idea of what we're building towards when we're looking at keywords. So some combination of all of the keywords we choose in a given month, and we can include the ones that sort of just live on the main pages of our site. We're trying to get to that number. Now, you're going to do that over time, but this gives us an idea of what to aim for. The other piece we need to understand is how competitive your site is. So if you're going to do this work, Moz is a big authority in the SEO space, and they have a free tool called the Domain Authority Checker. It's going to give you a lot of information. I really only want you to pay attention to the Domain Authority score, and it's going to spit out a number between 0 and 100. Mine is below 20. I can't remember what it is at the moment because we're actively working on this in my own business. But it's going to give you a number that tells you what your authority score is for your domain. And that's kind of like a way to think about Google sees you as, it's like a ranking of your credibility with Google. So what you can do then is look at keywords where you like plus or minus about 10 points on either side of that. So let's say you have a score of 20. For a small business, like I would imagine most of us are running, where we're not big brands with thousands of employees and, hundreds of thousands of backlinks, 20 would be an excellent score, actually. So you're going to be looking for keywords that fall between 10 and 30 in terms of difficulty, and your keyword research tools can give you those metrics. So that starts to paint a picture of, now I can sift through the thousands of keywords that come back as I'm doing my research to identify which ones are actually going to create results for me. And it all comes down to math. So let's look at a couple of examples, and we'll just kind of talk about some options here. So we want to think about our target audience. Remember, we're starting with the end result in mind. So we can look at these examples and see, we'll just take one here. Let's look at high worth homeowners. We want to sell our custom packages to them. So if we were to maybe look at a topic around luxury design. This one doesn't have enough volume to produce any results for us. It's a 0. So luxurious modern interior design, no one is searching for that. Let's not create content around it. Luxury designer has a keyword difficulty of 75. So that's going to be beyond our reach at this point. Now, maybe over time you build up your authority, you can come back to that one, but not going to produce any results for us. So we're not going to create content around that. Glamorous luxury beauty salon interior design is not relevant to our target market. High worth homeowners are not building beauty salons, so we're going to skip this one altogether, even though we like these metrics. But rich luxury living room has a volume of 720 searches per month and a keyword difficulty of 26. So that's our sweet spot. We would choose this one, and that is worth creating a 2,000 word blog post because we actually have some potential to rank. It's going to bring in enough search volume to make it worth it. And so do you see how we're getting laser focused on where the intersection between what your client wants to know and what you offer to actually get a return on our investment of time and money and energy? And so this is where it all sort of comes together in terms of marketing. And you can think about how you can repurpose this content. So this is what we do with our clients. This is what we do in my business. We try to, sometimes we do this on a monthly basis. I'll be honest. I don't get this far ahead, but in an ideal and perfect world, maybe once a quarter, you sit down and let's say you're going to do a monthly blog. That's pretty simple, right? We're going to come up with 3 topics that strategically guide our potential client from whatever stage we're going to target to the offer that we want to sell. So we've got to get 3 topics. We do our keyword research and choose, you don't choose one per post, but let's say, you choose 3 to 5 keywords that are going to be relevant to the topic we're talking about for 3 posts. We're going to figure out what our schedule is. So when do we need to create those? Reserve a day and batch create all of that content. Put the keywords in the right places. I'm going to show you that in just a second. And I know we're getting close on time. So I want to make sure we have time for questions as well. We can repurpose those exact same words for our social media posts. So you can create an educational carousel that goes over the main points of your post. You can create a reel with B-roll video and put an outline of some of the best tips right on top of that video. So I would bet that you could come up with somewhere between 10 and 20 posts out, or yes, social media posts out of one blog topic. And then we can send our email newsletter there as well. So you can keep it super simple, write a little intro paragraph, include the juiciest excerpt from your blog post, and then put a button that calls them to action to go to your website to read more. It's a way to just stay top of mind with your email list and then constantly be providing value. All right, so I'm gonna breeze through this because I know you're gonna be able to get the replay and the slides. So we're gonna look at tools very quickly. I'm not even gonna talk about this, but these are some considerations that you can go take a look at in terms of, do I want to tackle this on my own? Do I really need to hire an expert? And you can kind of see the pros of each approach and what you really need to think about in order to make the right decision for you. There's not a wrong answer. These are the things that you need to consider before you decide. If you do want to tackle things yourself, I've got a list of my favorite DIY resources here and a couple of hints on what to do with your keywords once you identify them. So these are all keyword research tools. These are going to give you that volume and difficulty data that we've been talking about. These guys are like agency level data. They've got everything you could possibly want to know about keywords. They make it really easy. They're really expensive. These guys in the middle are some middle of the road, not as robust in terms of data, but they're going to get you where you're going without a huge investment. These you can do totally for free. There's a little more manual work in doing the searches, a little more typing, maybe not as detailed data, but this will get you where you're going to. And then I really love this tool for optimization. You basically plug in the keywords you're trying to rank for, put your blog content in the center. It's going to tell you where you can put additional keywords. It's going to tell you what keywords to use. It analyzes your competition. It's super, super easy to use. It's a great way to take the guesswork out of where do my keywords belong. These are the places you need to put your keywords. So they need to be in your title. They need to show up in the first paragraph of the body. Use them in your subheadings. If you can, put them in your URL slug. So my website is greenhousecreative.co/something else. That something else is your slug. So if you can work your keyword into that, excellent. Gonna elevate your potential to rank. And then same thing for images. This will change over time. I can promise you AI is going to change alt text and images because image recognition software has gotten way more sophisticated, and Google will eventually be able to interpret our images. But today it's not part of the algorithm. And so we have to put text behind our images so that Google can interpret what they're about. This is another excellent opportunity to put our keywords into that field. All right. Also, the place where this really begins to pick up steam is tracking your success. So I hope you have your Google Analytics installed and in place, and you are measuring these things. These are the metrics that I really recommend you take a look at least once a quarter, maybe once a month. I have a report that comes to me out of this exact website growth tracker, which is available to you for purchase if you want to go check it out. That shows up in my inbox every Monday. So I just can like really quickly glance through it and see how we're doing. So these are the things that are going to determine what content's working for me. And you're going to go create more of that and abandon the things that don't produce results so we can stay laser focused on spending your energy and your time where it actually pays off. One other little offer that I've got for you for anyone who might be interested in getting some really customized feedback. I do offer this really quick little video website audit. You block an hour on my calendar, you'll get your report by the next business day. I run a full audit of your site, so that's going to give you the list of all the technical things that might need to be fixed. And then I record a video just walking through your site and telling you the little tweaks that you can make that are going to make a difference for both your conversions and your ability to transform those visitors into buying clients, but also to help you rank with Google. So it's fun for me to do this, and it can give you some really actionable, 5 or 10 little things that you can go do on your own and see some results. So it's just a video, but I've had a lot of really great feedback from people who just don't know where to begin. These are the things that are going to pay off first. So if you're interested in that, greenhousecreative.co/SEO-audit, and you can get your hands on one of those spots. Okay, I'm going to move into questions while we still have 12 minutes left. I'm a super open book, love to answer questions, love to be helpful. So if you are looking for any clarity, reach out to me on Instagram, greenhouse.creative, talking too fast, or there's my email address where you can reach me. And of course, those resources are available to you. So I'm shifting over to the chat here. Yeah, I'm happy to provide the presentation. Parisa, I'll let you speak to what we can do logistically in terms of getting it distributed, but yeah, we can make it available to you. Anybody have questions, or I know there's some pieces there at the end that we rushed through, but love to offer some clarity. How to be with the content if the website is used to showcase artwork. So it depends on specifically what our goals are in terms of the content itself. But I definitely think that there's an opportunity to create these educational blog posts on literally any website for any industry. I think you can be helpful no matter what you offer. So if you have any limiting thoughts around this doesn't apply to me, I would really challenge you to think about, surely there's something that you can offer potential customers that will help them understand how to get the most out of what you offer, or, why they should choose you over someone else, or how to solve their problems. I'm confident that there's really not an industry where this strategy cannot apply. But in terms of the pages where the artwork is showcased or where the artwork is sold, there's definitely an opportunity to optimize product descriptions, or to, tell the story of the piece, talk about the artist, talk about the inspiration. There are tons. I did this project for an art gallery not too long ago, and we did a lot of keywords that were specific artist names. We did specific styles. We did a lot around specific applications or how they could be used in the home. So there's opportunity across the board. You just may need to get really creative with the brainstorming to understand, first and foremost, what are people looking for? When people go to buy art, what questions do they have? So you just have to be thinking about it in terms of the customer. I have a Flick account that is for hashtags. Is that relevant? I have not heard of that platform. So, keyword research and hashtag research are not necessarily synonymous, but they're very similar. So while you may come up with different exact words, I would imagine that any tool that you use for hashtag research could potentially lead you to topics that you could write about. And so I definitely wouldn't throw it out as an option, but take a look and see if it offers any, search keyword data. If it doesn't, you could always take those topics to one of those free tools and potentially see if there are words there that you could rank for. So, anyone else have questions? Yeah, so Paris is just saying there's a part 2 that's going to go specifically more for the artist. Parisa, keep me in the loop. I'd love to attend that whenever you announce
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. Yeah, and well, first of all, thank you so much, Rachel. So much wisdom and nuggets of gold, honestly. And yeah, I just also wanted to say ditto on what you said earlier, that the nuts and bolts are all the same across the board. It's just a little bit of a matter of how it is applied, and I think that's
Yep.
kind of the art here, like as we were
Yes.
talking about the
Yes.
examples and um the buyer intent. I think that's the main part that is different when it comes to every industry. It's like, what is the buyer intent when it comes to art? And I talk about this a lot, that like art is a little bit different than other products
Mhm.
because the need is a little bit vague. With products, it's usually there's a specific need and you build everything around that. With art, it's an emotional
Yep.
connection. So
Yep.
there's some differences there. But from a technical standpoint, keywords like user intent, like all that, it's the same exact process. And we will be talking more on the specifics of it in the part 2 of these workshops.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be looking forward
But
to that.
yeah, thank you. I'm really excited. I've been meaning to hold this for a while. Um, but yeah, no, thank you. Thank you so much. If anyone else has a question, please do make sure that you put it in the chat so that we can talk about it. I also, while you guys are putting your questions in the chat, I also wanted to just emphasize on the significance of SEO, because I find like I mainly work with artists and creatives, but everyone, like, as I'm a service-based business myself as well. So like we're all about, there's so much focus that goes into social media, and it's like constantly creating content that SEO kind of gets overlooked, which I think is such a shame, because if you are a little bit strategic about it, the amount of traffic you can get from Google is just significant. It's something that always humbles me. It's almost one of
Yeah.
to give you guys an example, like Arterra, you guys know we're not too old of a business. Like we're heading 2 years in like a few weeks. And we get upward of like 2,000 a month. And it isn't something that like I'm constantly working towards it to make it better and better. But there's like certain blog posts that we wrote, and this was like early on, that like that blog post alone gets us like 300 views a week or something like that. So
Yeah.
and that's just a matter of like knowing your audience and being a little bit more strategic about writing that blog post.
Hmm.
And it's not something that I need to weekly go in and like update like I do on my social media. It's just something I did like 2 years ago. and it's
Yeah,
still
that's the
bearing
beauty
fruit.
of it, right? Like you can
Yeah.
write a blog post and it can still be bringing traffic and sales if it's done really strategically
Yeah,
5 years later. Where
exactly.
with social media, you're posting on an Instagram story, well, it disappears in 24 hours. So in terms of seeing results, like measuring results to the level of effort required, yes, this takes a lot of planning and a lot of intentionality, but this is work that continues to build on itself where, you might get social media followers, but the beautiful carousel that you created 6 months ago can't be seen anymore unless somebody just scrolls and scrolls and scrolls and scrolls. So it's a huge difference. And it's part of the reason that we really push all of our clients to take this SEO first approach. I don't have a problem with social media. I just think that the level of effort you put into it should be, corresponding to the results that it can create for you. And this just feels like a smarter use of your energy to me. We
Yeah.
do have one more question here. Are there any website builders or platforms that rank better than others? So you're going to get a lot of different answers to that question. My answer is always this. If you're working with a reputable modern platform, Squarespace, Shopify, Wix, WordPress, all of those things, they are going to have the technology required, like the technical pieces that you need to do this work are all present. After that, the quality is all about the user putting the information in the right places, right? So it's not one platform versus another. I will say if you're on a WordPress site and you are self-hosted, which means you get to choose your hosting platform, you do need to choose a quality host that will allow your site to be fast. So that matters. I would steer you away from some of the like out of the box builders that come with your domain. So, I wouldn't use a Google site. I wouldn't use a GoDaddy site. Some of those that are really, really elementary in terms of what they can do. But after that, if you're using a professional level tool, I don't think you can make a wrong choice. It's more about what content did you create and did you just put it in the right places? So I hope that helps to answer that question a little bit. I think that was our last one.
Yeah. Right on time.
Awesome. Well, thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Thanks.
This has been so fun. Such an honor to enter your community. I think you're doing some really cool things, and I'll be looking forward to the presentation for artists.
Thank you. Thank you so much for saying yes to the invitation. It's been an honor having you with us today. And thank you for sharing everything that you know about this with our community. I'm sure I've tried to share all the links that you shared through the presentation
Oh,
in the
awesome.
chat so people can follow you. But we will also be sending out a follow-up email with your social media links and all that stuff so people can
Perfect.
find you
I'll
and
shoot
follow
over the
you.
presentation
And
too.
yeah, stay in touch. All right, thank you. Thank you, everyone. If there's no other questions, we'll be wrapping this up. Thank you. Okay, bye, everyone.